Next up on the hot seat, he is the head coach at Morgan State. I'll let him get settled for just a second here, as I know it's last minute. Coach Kevin Broadus is with us in studio. Coach, really appreciate you coming in and hanging out with us for a few minutes. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
A lot to talk about with you guys, and some new pieces. I think a couple of returning pieces. I'm going to start only because he's a local kid with Will Thomas, who had some really big games for you a year ago, but never necessarily found any consistency. Is there a chance there for him to take a step forward and find some consistency this year?
There's a very good chance. It's all on Will.
Coach, can I ask you to pull that microphone a little bit? Yeah.
It's all on Will. It's a good chance he will find his stride and take it to the maximum. It's all on Will. Nothing to do with anyone else and coaches or other players. Will is Will. Will is his, sometimes best critic and sometimes his best enemy, but sometimes his best friend too. So Will's got a chance to be very good this year. He's put in the work, but, it's all on Will.
I think the name that kind of stands out the most among the additions, just based on where he's been and what he's done, is Winston Tabbs, who'd been at Boston College previously, but has obviously had his share of knee issues and whatnot. Is he healthy, and how much of an impact can he have if he's ready to go for you?
Right now, Winston Tabbs is very healthy. Knock on wood.
That's what I say. It seems like you were doing a bit of a
special talent. Special talent. I had a couple guys come in and watch him. John Thompson, Mark Turgeon. They was like, wow, he's a high major player, high major offensive player, can really play, knows the game, high IQ, just loves what he brings to the table, and he brings leadership and experience to the table. He's probably one of the first transfers we've had that's come from a high major that I look at and say, okay, I see why he played at the high major. The other ones, you question some of the different, either the skill set, the mentality, or the IQ, or what have you. But Winston Tabbs is the real deal. He's got the whole package, and we're looking for great things with him.
Is it at all like do you when someone's dealt with as many injuries, do you have to work with someone who's at all tentative? That there's all any fear of what they're going through?
Well, yes. I mean, it's always in the back of your mind, but he plays with reckless abandon. So, you know what? I think, some people have to have those injuries to get them out the way, and it seems like he's at that type person. Like, hopefully he's done with these injuries, but, none of us are doctors. We can't tell, only God knows, So we have no clue what's in front of him, but we have been preserving him so he could, hopefully make it through the whole year.
I know when we talked over the summer, you mentioned Karan Oliver as an X factor, made the comparison to Troy Baxter, which immediately got my attention. And I know you've had the chance to go overseas, play some, got extra practices. Has he lived up to that?
He has. He has. Kyron has been very, very – he's our high energy guy. He brings energy like every single minute of the practice, every single day. I mean, we love this kid, and, being recruited at the high level, went to New Mexico State. He played JUCO the last year, but this kid is a high major athlete, and he loves to play the game. I was just talking to one of the coaches on the phone coming in here. Him and Winston was in the gym as we speak. You love to hear that as a coach. And I just said to her, make sure they don't have class, because, these kids these days, that's they're out. Say, hey, Coach, I got to get these shots up. But they don't just morning. Will's been in a lot. This is what you get when you get guys that's serious about their craft. They're in the gym. You don't have to pull them in there. They're in there on their own, and I love it. So.
Coach Kevin Broadus from Morgan State is in studio with us as they get ready for the start of the season at Arizona on Monday, the home opener next Thursday against Cheney. Coach, all right, so this is the selfish portion of the program. I am obsessed with Last Chance U. Like, I have watched all of the football seasons. I watched all the basketball seasons. So when I saw that Christian was on the roster, I was like, wow, that's cool. Did you ever watch the show? Did you have connections with the staff out at East L.A., or how did Christian end up here?
So I do have connections. I recruited that school before. And plus, we had a kid locally that went to DeMatha, and I'm drawing a blank. His dad, I know very well. Joe Hampton. Joe Hampton,
absolutely.
yeah,
Who was a big part of the show.
a big part of the show. Went there. It piqued my interest. So one of the coaches, Ken Hunter, is a friend of mine, and a couple of other coaches. So I went out. I was recruiting another kid actually, and I went out a few times. I went out with a friend of mine, Coach Hobbs. He was assistant then at Rutgers, and a couple of my friends, Coach Baggett at Ryder, and we went out to see kids, different kids, and I was recruiting another kid. So I asked about this kid. I said, "God, 7-foot kid," because you're always looking at height. It's contradictory what we always say. You always want height, but we always say guards win games. So I go out and I see him, and they say, "Oh no, that kid's going high major." He committed to like Santa Clara out of high school, if I remember right. Hobbs from Rutgers was out to see him. It was a bunch of schools out there, Oklahoma State. It was a bunch of schools. They told us, you don't waste your time with him. So went on to the next guy, started recruiting, came out a couple times, went to West L.A. to see some kids play. And we were going to take a kid from West L.A. who ended up going somewhere else in our league. So last year, come their tournament time, the coach asked, could I come out and see him again? I was like, no, we're playing, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. So I get a call, says, you still need a big? I said, we always could use a big. Who you got? You got some new guys? He says, nah, what about the kids you liked in the beginning, Christian Oliver? I was like, he's available? He says, yeah, he's actually available. Fast forward, he's here now. And then when he came on his visit, his mom grew up in Montgomery County.
Really?
Yeah. So it's, recruiting is a weird science. You like to think you control the narrative and control everything. We really don't. And we've gotten him, and he played really well in Europe this summer. He's a little banged up right now, his ankle, but nothing serious. Tough kid. Just got to get him to be more vocal. I love what he brings. He's a skilled big man, really skilled.
That's cool. That's a really cool story.
I know freshman-wise, usually don't rely too much on freshmen, but it sounds as if Trent Edwards, a kid out of Louisville, is somebody that could be able to help you.
Where you hear that from? Where you guys hear that from?
Spies everywhere.
Well, Trent is taking leaps and bounds. Right now, I plan on starting him the first game out at Arizona, get his feet wet real quick. 6'9". He's a pogo stick. Like I told him, Trent, I'm not going to run one play for you. But every ball that goes up against the glass, you go get it, and that's your play. And he's been really good at that. He's good on our press. I'm very happy with his growth from the day he came to campus to where we sit today. Now, I always tease him. I say, you have no clue what you're doing out there. Nothing. You don't know nothing that you're doing out there. But what you're doing is not wrong. So just keep doing what you're doing.
Speaking, it's someone who's coming in, but stability, right? To have a returning starter, and I know Patrick told me before, in the MEAC there's not a lot of returning starters this year,
No.
but to have one in Cameron Hobbs, how important has that been for you guys making the adjustment into this season?
I think what's going to be good for Cam is playing with a guard like Winston, because it takes the pressure off him have to dribble a lot. Cam can really make shots, and Winston can find the open man. And it takes the pressure off of him guarding big guards. So now we have Winston and Kyron, two big guards, 6'3" and 6'5", with a guard like Cam that can make shots. It's going to be really good. Cam played really well in one of our scrimmages. I can't remember which one it was. Just his effort, because it may have been the second one. Yes, it was the second one we scrimmaged, because I didn't even start him. And when he came in the game, just brought the energy, what we were hoping he would bring this year, being his second year there.
Looking at the roster, just kind of sizing it up, it feels like you guys are deeper than you've been, all over the place. I know there's been times where you've been deep in certain spots, but not others. Do you agree with that?
I do, and we're deeper now because we haven't had any injuries, and that's been our biggest Achilles, is the injuries we've had in the previous years. And hopefully this year we don't have the injuries, but you have to go into it as, okay, you have these guys, but this could happen, and the next guy's got to step up. Last year when we lost Malik and Khalil, it just devastated our team. So hopefully we don't have that this year, and we go injury-free, because a lot of times the guys that's injury-free at the end of the year are usually the ones who's playing well.
Coach, if I could, you said something a second ago and I think it jumped out at people. I think everybody knows your relationship with Mark Turgeon, right, from your time together at the University of Maryland. But when you said you had him in and John Thompson, can you take me through, has he been sort of a resource for you now as he's been out of coaching and doing the TV thing a little bit to try to help and just be, I don't know, a sounding board or something?
Absolutely. Coach Turge has adopted us, if that makes any sense. I mean, he really comes up. I laugh about it to my guys that said, he's been around Larry Brown so long, and Larry Brown did that with him. I watch him. When he comes in the gym, hey, he always asks, can I talk to him about it's your floor, and he takes the floor like it's his floor. And the thing I say to him all the time, and he always shoots it down, he's too good of a basketball mind not to be coaching at a young age. I mean, Coach Turgeon is a great basketball mind. I mean, he sees things, and I'm like, wow. You think we should, and our coaches say, we've been trying to tell you, but, you got to respect a guy that's been a head coach for 25-plus years. And I respect that he gave me an opportunity to come to Maryland when we left Georgetown. I mean, everything he brings to the table helps not only me, I think it helps our other coaches and our players as well.
That's really interesting, man. Like, is it like a weekly thing? Is it that frequently?
He comes like once every 2 weeks.
Okay.
10,
that's
15 days.
That's significant.
That's
a lot.
And, I mean, the guy is a wealth of knowledge. People forget he coached at Oregon in the NBA. He was assistant when Allen Iverson with the Sixers, Maryland, Texas A&M, Wichita State, Jacksonville State. I mean, the guy's a wealth of knowledge, and I don't think he gets his due that he's owed around here, because he's a Midwesterner, but he played, and people forget about this, is Kansas in the Final Four with him and
Danny and the Miracles.
Yeah, he was one of the Miracles.
Absolutely.
So,
Coach, for this team to break through and make a run to a MEAC title this year, what has to go right for your guys?
Injury-free.
That's been a common refrain today, by the way.
The cohesiveness of guys loving to play with each other, sharing the game, sharing the responsibilities on defense. Everything, has to come together at the right time. And the right time is now all the way through to April.
And then we were just chatting with Pat a second ago, and he mentioned that UMBC have kind of entered into like almost a little pact to be playing local games. And I know it's something that you've always wanted to do, but can you talk me through that thought process and what it does for you guys?
Well, it's more so for the fans. It does nothing for me, because these guys, a lot of times you're playing against your friends, guys that you've known for 25, 30 years. So we're going to play Towson this year. We play over at Towson. We play UMBC at home this year. We scrimmage another local team that's a good friend of mine, and so I don't
that could be anybody, but
and then we play Coppin, who Larry was one of my assistants.
Yep.
So I mean, it's good for, I guess, the basketball enthusiasts for the local area. It's a game, and we're going to treat it like it. It's not going to make or break our season when we play these teams.
What's that relationship like now with Larry? Have you? Are you trying to be a sounding board for him while also remembering? Okay, yeah.
No,
yeah.
No, I'm going to tell you why.
Yeah.
It's nothing like that. It's, this is the thing I learned when I took over as a head coach. The head coach takes a back step, take a seat back, and let him be him.
Yeah.
I've talked to Larry literally one time since then. I helped him all get out to get the job. I wanted him to get the job. It'd have been criminal if he didn't get the job. But now that he's got it, I'm not going to call him and say, you should do this, you should do that. No, he's been around long enough. He's played at the highest level in the professional leagues. He's coached long enough to be able to sift through, I'm going to do it this way, that way. And, now, if he needs, and he wants to call, absolutely. I give him, any advice that was given to me before, so I have no problem with that. But I'm not going to call and reach out and be meddling with his program, no.
I get it. I completely get it. Again, the season gets underway at Arizona on Monday, and then home next Thursday night against Cheney for the first opportunity to get out and see the Bears this season. Coach Kevin Broadus, appreciate it. No, we were, it's a little tricky getting over here. But
no. Coming around 695 with all the construction, much-needed construction. So, you get caught in that traffic. It's, like I tell my guys, got to be early because being on time is being late. And now I got to go do the punishment for being late. So.
Coach, thank you for coming in and spending some time with us this morning.
Thanks, guys.
Really
Thanks for
appreciate it.
having me.